You better watch out, Kickstarter, because you've just been put on notice by PledgeCamp, the next generation of crowdfunding. Now, crowdfunding is a super interesting industry, and it is a very big industry, but it's an industry full of misaligned incentives, very high fees, and a big lack of accountability. PledgeCamp is aiming to fix all of this. Now, before we break down just exactly what PledgeCamp is trying to do, just a quick reminder that this is a token sale. Please do your own due diligence before going out and investing your own money. Also, please note that the sale does exclude citizens of the United States. I would also like to give a big shout out to the team at PledgeCamp for helping support the channel by sponsoring this video. Now, what is the problem that PledgeCamp wants to solve? Well, we're going to be beating up on the crowdfunding industry a little bit here, but before we do that, I want to give a bit of acknowledgement to the crowdfunding industry, because the crowdfunding industry itself was a big step forward, particularly in terms of breaking down the barriers for entrepreneurs and leveling the playing field for those without access to angel investors, and for those who didn't have access to the big VC funds in New York City and Silicon Valley, essentially allowing capital from outside of the traditional spheres to connect. And that was really, really big. And companies like Indiegogo and Kickstarter have done a lot for entrepreneurs, but the current platforms are failing in a lot of different ways. They lack security, they lack accountability, big time, especially for the people who are putting their money into these projects. We have high failure rates. The effect of bad projects in the crowdfunding industry essentially means that people have been burned. And once somebody has been burned, they put 50 bucks into some project on Kickstarter and it never delivers. The guys walk away with the money. There's no repercussions for those people. That person who put that 50 bucks in, they're not going to put another 50 bucks in. They're going to say, well, that crowdfunding thing, I tried it, I lost the money. I'm walking away. And that's not what you want. You want people to be incentivized to help support entrepreneurs and to have the best practices rewarded. But crowdfunding, like anything, needs to continue to evolve. And that's where PledgeCamp comes in. It is the evolution of the crowdfunding industry. So, how are we going to fix some of these big issues in the crowdfunding industry? Well, the first big one is accountability. So creators are basically able to currently overpromise and underdeliver without any actual consequences for doing that. The solution that PledgeCamp is offering is called backer insurance. Now, this is a security feature that enforces accountability by empowering backers to monitor the usage of their contributions via smart contracts that hold the campaign funds in escrow. And those campaign funds will be released only when certain milestones are met. That's fantastic. So instead of them just getting all the money, not worrying about milestones, just doing marketing, this actually gives a certain amount of control back to the backers, allowing them to vote to release that escrow. We don't need lawyers. We don't need a centralized party here. Responsibility to release the funds falls on those whose funds are actually at stake. So before a campaign launches, the creators will list their milestones. So quarter 1, prototype, quarter 2, deliver product, quarter 3, be on markets in the United States, for example, and then basically determine how much insurance will be appropriate for that sale, or for that fundraiser, I should say. The more insurance that a company is willing to put up, the lower the listing fee will be, which incentivizes companies to be more transparent, to put more money forward in terms of their insurance so that they can have more accountability to the people who are putting their money into that project. The next is transparency. So it's amazing to have a great marketing video and a cool description page, and they're really, really good at raising funds. But things like roadmaps and company disclosures, traditionally in crowdfunding, have taken a back seat. So what we're going to see here is listing deposit fees. So these will be refundable back to the projects, but that is assuming that the creator actually fulfills the required transparency tasks. Things like uploading a business registration, things like identification, proof of contracts, intellectual property registration, code repositories, personal references, and even answering questions on a live video. All of this is designed to give transparency, and it'll be standard for every project. So if a project doesn't do any of this stuff, then the backers can say, hey, wait a second, why didn't you do any of this basic transparency stuff that all the other projects do? And you'll be much less likely to be able to raise money on that platform because you won't have fulfilled all of the requisite steps that everyone else does in terms of being transparent. So let's say there's going to be 5 steps of transparency. For every step you complete, you will get a portion of your deposit back. So it incentivizes the creators to do everything because they get their deposit back if they are transparent. And if they're not transparent, they're very unlikely to, of course, raise that money. Then we have centralization. This is something that has plagued traditional crowdfunding once again. Currently, we see geography being a big deal, that most crowdfunding is only open to people in about 22 different countries. That's only about 10% of the world's countries. That's ridiculous. Now, the platforms can essentially implement, exclude, and restrict at will. There's not a lot of accountability to the platforms themselves. For example, Kickstarter has an energy drink ban. Well, maybe energy drinks aren't that great for it anyway, but they certainly shouldn't be banning them. But they have, and that screams of centralization. And they also have a business model which is essentially dependent on listing fees. So that means that a company like Kickstarter has a financial incentive to list as many campaigns as possible, assuming that you're not selling an energy drink, regardless of the quality of that project, because they get listing fees. Doesn't matter what you're selling, as long as it's not energy drinks, you can get on Kickstarter. And that is a misaligned incentive. The centralization basically prioritizes the financial incentives of those who are in control and does not serve the participants within that ecosystem. And we've seen this happening already on crowdfunding platforms. The projects win, the companies win, the backers can be left very easily holding the short end of the stick. And that's crazy because the crowd is the most valuable resource in of itself. It is the thing that those crowdfunding platforms rely on and depend on, and yet they're so happy to disregard them. And that's tragic because the crowdfunding idea has so much potential if done right. The crowd itself, just think of the skills, the knowledge, the connections of any given crowd. That is also something that has often been disregarded in traditional crowdfunding. PledgeCamp wants to address that issue as well. They want to do what are called smart crowds. This is essentially basically letting the token economy come to the backers. So we can have things like bounties put out by creators. We have a decentralized listing system run by decentralized moderators, allowing for the easy onboarding of projects, but also to help prevent spam and scams. Then PledgeCamp's also offering the Market Network. This will be a decentralized marketplace for services where creators can hire professionals to work on their projects. You'll have reviews of those vendors that are immutably stored on the blockchain, open for everyone to see. Smart contracts, of course, will be fueling the back end of that, and using cryptocurrencies will make the payments quick and easy for vendors. We'll also have the Knowledge Center, basically a forum where you can have questions and answers and a searchable database. Now, what is in it for the stakeholders of PledgeCamp? Well, if you're a backer, you basically get decentralized escrow mechanism, which will be protecting your funds. So it gives you a lot more control, or at least accountability, with these projects. As a creator, you will have support. You'll also have lower platform fees. And as a user, you'll be able to earn token rewards for doing things like moderating, and moderators will actually receive listing fees of projects depending on the amount of tokens they have staked, which is pretty cool. Now, the token itself is a 2-token system. So we have the pledge coin and we have camp shares. These are both powering the platform and working to compensate users for their contributions to the ecosystem. Now, the pledge coin, this is for payments for services, this is for the backer insurance, this is for campaign deposits, this is for bounties, this is for staking. The camp shares, this is a non-exchange token. This is a token that allows users to achieve the moderator status and to earn compensation from the listing fees. To be a moderator will require KYC and be subject to further possible restrictions. You will need 10 million camp shares to become a moderator. Camp shares can be burned for pledge tokens after 30 days. Listing fees being earned by the camp shares holders basically ends up connecting the idea of the platform growth to the value of holding the token. So the pledge token and the camp shares token are both rooted in real economic growth in the future, not just on speculation. So the more the platform grows, the more value these tokens will have because of the different mechanisms that the two-token system has. In total, there will be 1 trillion tokens, which is a lot of tokens. Now these tokens will be during the crowd sale valued at 1/100th of a cent. Now the idea behind PledgeCamp itself is powerful because the crowdfunding industry does need to be disrupted. But the team and the advisors are one of the things that really make PledgeCamp stand out among the crowd. Now the PledgeCamp team has previously raised millions of dollars on Kickstarter, and they have become among the top 1% most funded crowdfunding experts on the platform. So they kind of know what they're doing when it comes down to crowdfunding, and they have the skills needed to pull something like this off. And then come the advisors, and this is really high-level stuff because we have Randi Zuckerberg as a key advisor and a very big enthusiast of the project. I mean, she literally wrote the foreword in the white paper, and she has appeared in the media representing PledgeCamp.
You're an author, you're a mother, you're Mark Zuckerberg's sister, you created Facebook Live on the Facebook platform. You could pick any company to be an advisor. Why this one?
Gosh, there's so many reasons. First of all, I've backed Eddie and Jay before in other initiatives. They're just incredible entrepreneurs. But also for me, I've been very interested in the crypto and blockchain space for a while. I think it's a space that more women need to get involved in, quite frankly. But I didn't want to get caught up in the hype. There's been a lot of hype in this space. For me, I'm interested in practical applications of blockchain in our lives.
This is one of them.
This is one of them. My passions in life are supporting the arts and giving more women and underrepresented entrepreneurs a chance to have their projects backed. And with something like this, with PledgeCamp, it doesn't matter where you live, what access to financing you have. If you can't get a VC to write you a check, suddenly you have a platform. It's very democratizing. So that's what's exciting.
It's kind of ironic.
So she's very serious about taking her advisory role. It's not just her name thrown on a piece of paper. She's there representing the company. She's into it. And that says a lot about the potential of PledgeCamp. There's also a wide range of other very influential players from companies like Ripple, Republic, Airbnb, BuzzFeed, and TechCrunch, all putting their names to PledgeCamp. All of this says to me that there is a lot of big money interests behind PledgeCamp that want it to succeed, that want it to be a real competitor to a company like Kickstarter, because the potential to disrupt that industry, but also to have a very successful business model is there. We also have it being backed by companies like Bit4x, MetaLab, Mousebout, Blockchain Accelerator, and a range of the top venture capital funds like LD Capital, Foundation X, and Link VC. These are some of the people behind some of the most famous names in cryptocurrency. Now, what are some of my concerns about PledgeCamp? Well, the first is that there is a very small amount of tokens going to the public. So 97% of the tokens are going for other things. We have 45% for the community reserve, 5% for creator acquisition, 5% for moderator acquisition, 10% for the company team and advisors on a 12-month vesting period, 15% platform fund, and 17% in the pre-sale, leaving only 3% for the general public. During the sale, that is. Technically, there'll be 13% going to general users. That's for the creators and the moderators. That's an extra 10% of the tokens, which is dedicated to give away to those people. But if you're going to be getting in the sale, there's only 3% of the tokens available during the crowd sale. Now, considering the big amount of incentives offered to ensure the success of the platform, it makes sense that they're holding so much back and they're basically having so many of those tokens that they're giving out as incentives to get creators to come, to get moderators to stick around, etc., etc. but I would have definitely liked to have seen a bigger amount of tokens going to the public during the sale, but we have seen a lot of different companies moving in this direction in token sales recently. Then, of course, there's the competition. We have Kickstarter, we have Indiegogo. They are already well ahead in terms of adoption, brand awareness, recognition, all these different things. But PledgeCamp does offer a lot of things that these legacy players cannot offer currently, and it'll be much harder for them to evolve their business models versus a new company which is coming in and already offers a superior product. It's also worth mentioning that PledgeCamp is not the first blockchain project to address the issues in the crowdfunding industry, but I certainly think it is the most promising one. No other blockchain crowdfunding project has anywhere near the advisors or the backers that PledgeCamp does. So that really makes them stand out amongst the crowd. Then, of course, you have to question, is all of this even going to work? Will the incentives offered actually be enough to ensure that there is a healthy board of moderators? Will moderators pay to become moderators? Will projects be willing to give the crowd control over the escrow of their funds? It is a great idea, but let's see how it plays out. That being said, there is a lot to love about PledgeCamp. The team is highly experienced. The backers are stellar. This one factor alone to me speaks volumes about the seriousness of this project. You would not have people like Randi, Zuckerberg, and these top VC firms involved if they did not think that they could make this succeed. The industry to disrupt is massive, and the legacy players are stale. It's definitely time to disrupt the crowdfunding industry. Blockchain can also take it global. Just think for a moment about the geographic fences that have made it so that really only about 20 countries are participating in crowdfunding. Think of all the people in developing countries who could participate. Blockchain can bring accountability. Blockchain can correct the broken incentive systems of the legacy players, and blockchain can take it truly global. The potential social impact from global crowdfunding, massive. And the profits, if they get it right, also massive for the company, for the moderators, for basically everyone involved with the platform. Now, the full platform is scheduled to launch by the end of the year. There is a demo platform currently being made available before the start of the sale so that users can basically have a better vision of what the experience of actually going and using PledgeCamp is going to be like. MetaLab, a famous firm responsible for designing Slack and COINBASE, is working very closely with the team to help them deliver an amazing product. PledgeCamp is way more than a white paper and a dream. It's going to be a very interesting player in the crowdfunding industry. The only ideas here that really need to come into play is, can they get their message out to people so that they can overcome the legacy players? And is it all actually going to work? Seems incredibly promising. There's a link down below to the website and also to videos from PledgeCamp showing what the user and creator experience is going to be like. You will also find a link for the ongoing airdrop. There's also a link below to get signed up for the sale. You can invest using Bitcoin, Ethereum. The sale is kicking off on the 18th of February. Thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know what you think about PledgeCamp down below in the comment section. Do you think that it's going to be able to overtake Kickstarter? Is it a project that you're interested in investing in? Let me know about it down below. Thank you so much for watching today's video. As always, you guys are super awesome. If you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up on it. Subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. And you can always hit that notification bell to know when I put out a new video. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.